Green energy in the UK, especially the solar industry, has been through some huge highs and lows. Today, I'm talking to someone who's been there through all of them. Whether you're thinking about getting solar panels for your home, or you're actually in the industry yourself and looking to grow your solar business, this interview will hopefully be really helpful for you. Chris Hopkins recently completed the acquisition of the solar business that he built from scratch, and is already in the process of starting a new specialist solar company, as well as creating a training center for other roofing and solar pros. Chris was able to convince the dragons on Dragon's Den that solar in the UK makes sense.
Actually, what I'm encouraged by with you is that you're at the heart of it. You're talking to the government about the scheme, and I love all of that because that tells me that you are on the ethical side of doing this.
Correct. I'm going to offer you all the money, £120,000.
I'm going to make you an offer.
I am going to make you an offer. I will give you this.
So, Chris, thanks so much for being here today. Thanks for taking the time to talk about all things solar and solar in the UK, particularly. So just now we were chatting a little bit about your journey through the industry, like from people thinking that it was absolutely crazy to be doing solar in the UK to today where things are quite different. So do you mind running me through a little bit of that?
I had the idea, I would say, back in 2005. I wanted to change the way roofing was done in the UK. That was my passion. It was 15 years ago. And I looked at what was going on in Germany with solar and that kind of thing. I thought, you know what, they get similar amounts of daylight. You know, the likes of Berlin, they're very similar to Birmingham, is where it is on the earth. And I thought, we should be doing a hell of a lot more. So I went over to Germany, looked at what they were doing, brought that idea back to the UK and started developing a solar roof training academy. And I always remember right at the time, I went to what's called the CITB, the Construction Industry Training Board, and they may as well have laughed at me. They said, why would we do that, Chris? We don't get enough sunshine. It's never going to take off. It's a complete waste of time. So I was kind of laughed out of the room, but I still persevered and went forward with it because I knew it was something that had to be done, whether they could see it or not. I could see that, and I had a vision. So I jumped in feet first and developed the Solar Training Academy.
It sounds like there was a bit of more than a bit, a massive boost with the feed-in tariff when that all started off. What was that like?
Yeah, that was it was very strange because, you know, back in 2005, going up to 2007, when I was developing this training academy, people were thinking, why are you doing this? But then once they launched the feed-in tariff in 2010, 2011, you could see all those naysayers, all those people that were laughing. They just suddenly they were like running towards me. It was like a game changer. It was strange because I had all my competition with roofing contractors knocking on my door saying, "Chris, can you train me? Can I come to your training academy? Can you train me how to do solar panel roofing? Can you?" And it was just so I ended up building a training centre which made a profit, and then a solar panel installation company which made a profit. So it was almost like I built the perfect company at the perfect time. So it was also overwhelming. I've got to admit that it was too good, and I didn't have like a board of directors. I didn't have any help. It was just me. So it very soon went from like 10 staff to 100 staff.
Wow!
And it was overwhelming. I mean, I did employ good guys. You know, that there were some good guys that did support me. But I didn't have like a board like you would if you were running a 10 million turnover company, because that's ultimately where we ended up. We ended up in this final year turning over £10 million. And previous to that, the year prior to that, we were only turning over £1 million. So we grew, what's that, 900%, 1,000% growth in 12 months. It was...
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was crazy, fantastic, but also totally overwhelming as well.
Yeah, it sounds like it was an almost equally big transition when the feed-in tariff went away again.
I think it was the 12th of December 2011. I remember it well because it rocked the business. And I was like, wow, what we're going to do? Then it all went to a Supreme Court hearing, which dragged on, I think, till March 2012. And once they officially pulled the plug on it, the business had grown from 1 million to 10 million. I couldn't control it. It was kind of too late. I'd made a business error in put all my eggs in one basket, which was, I know that's wrong now. I'm 50-year-old now. Back then I was 35. So it was a very painful learning curve. And I did put all my eggs in the solar panel installation basket. And as soon as I cut that feed-in tariff, 97% of my business went. And I couldn't save the business. It went into administration within 6 months. Yeah, for me, it was like my baby had died. It was a horrible, horrible feeling, because all the passion of building it up and all the naysayers back in 2005 saying, why are you doing this? I built a centre, I'd prove them all wrong. We were one of the, great companies doing solar, and as soon as I cut that feed-in tariff, it just killed the business.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like to build something up from basically nothing and then have it be successful and have it almost just taken away from you.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating. But what I did do, we did go into administration in 2012, September. And what I did do, I bought a section of the business back off the administrators, which was just the roofing side. So I did manage to buy just a small element of it back. Unfortunately, the solar side of it did go into administration completely, as did the training centre, because I couldn't keep them going. But what I did do was buy a small chunk of the roofing only section. And that's the one which I then traded again and continued to rebuild.
So it's not the end of the story for solar.
No,
at all.
It nearly was. It destroyed 97% of it. But I managed to just keep hold of a small section, and I had to rebuild again. Just me and my wife, starting from scratch. But you can imagine the negative. There was a lot of negative PR at that time, because I'd been on Dragon's Den only 12 months previously. So I'd put my head above the parapet, if you want to call it that. So I was, people knew who I was. So I think I was front page of The Guardian, and I was on the Telegraph, just like, Dragon's Den business goes bust, solar panel, Chris goes bust. They were, all the, don't know what you call them, all them titles, headlines. And you're left holding the baby, so to speak.
So where are things now?
Okay. So now what I've done is I rebuilt the business, and it went through a successful acquisition back in 2016. So in the 4 years, I went from negative press to build it back up again, doing roofing, solar panels. So I went through a successful acquisition, and I've just finished the earn-out phase of that. So now it's I'm just in the process of setting up a new business. Well, two of them actually. One of them is business mentoring, to help other businesses that are in solar and construction, to help them move into this more sustainable, decarbonised type of a business. And so I can help with that on a mentoring support. And the other one is I've launched a small roofing business again, which is just me and my wife and two other tradesmen, doing heritage roofs combined with solar and battery storage.
So this is basically like if you need to get a new roof anyway, then you might as well integrate solar at the time of replacing the whole thing. Is that right?
Yeah, but it just makes sense, because there's also the VAT, and I've got to be careful what I say to you here. But if the homeowner's primary reason for doing their roof and their solar is for the installation of energy-saving materials, and that's why you're putting the scaffold up, and that's why you're putting the solar on the roof, then it's VAT rated at 5%. So then as a secondary item, if you're doing the roof by default, because you're already up there, the scaffold's up there for the solar, then you can utilise that scaffolding to continue with the roofing work. So there's quite, a VAT saving of 15% is huge for a domestic homeowner.
And are you using, just out of interest, are you using solar roof tiles, or is it still just integrated panels? We're
using a combination of both, because the business name Green and Heritage Roofing is we do a lot of old houses, so they're normally 100-year-old plus. So they might be grade 2 listed buildings, or they're in a conservation area. So what we normally do is strip the roof off, and then we'll do an in-roof system with flashing kits, and then it embeds it into the roof. So we're not using the roof tiles, we're using the in-roof system, because they're more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and the conservation people prefer them as well.
That makes sense, yeah. So you can still use the original, well, close to original as possible tiles around.
Yeah, around on the perimeter. And it actually helps us, because if you're doing a re-roof at the same time as the solar integrated panels, then you might be, let's say it's 10 panels and the 1.7 square metres, you've got 17 square metres of area of roof where you don't need any slate below it. So it actually is quite good, because when you do a re-roof, you might need 20% replacement slates. So if you're losing 17% of them because you're putting in a room solar in, then straight away you might not even need to buy any more replacement slates. And because it's a heritage roof and the really old slates, they're really hard to get hold of. So it goes hand in glove, does the integration of solar on an old building.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. So having been through this kind of crazy ride through the solar industry in the UK, what do you see as the biggest challenges for the industry now going forward?
Okay, it's about getting consumer confidence back, because it's still in people's minds that back in 2012 they cut the feed-in tariff, and those people that were in the 40s back then are in the 50s or early 60s. So that and that tends to be the demographic that we notice wants to buy solar, and normally age range 35 up to 75. They're not the younger generation, if you want to call it that. And I'm not discriminating against age, by the way. It's just as people get older, they tend to cotton on to this energy saving and help the environment. It tends to tweak with the mind. It's probably because they have kids by that age and they start thinking differently about the future. And then so the main demographic I found is a more of an older generation. So what I was going to say was, it's about regaining the consumer confidence in those people that remember the solar cut in feed-in tariffs, and get across to them that now with the battery storage, you can actually still get around about a 5% return on investment. So I'll tell you how the quick maths behind that. We're doing systems now on domestic roofs, which are a 4 kilowatt system, approximately 12 panels. We have two batteries for the battery storage, and we're installing them on roofs in combination with the re-roof for between £6,000 and £7,000. And what we're finding is that from the ones that we've done, and we've done quite a few case studies, they're saving about £360 a year on their electric supply, because they're using the battery storage. So if you work that out, £360 a year, call it 350 for round numbers, into £7,000 goes 20 times. So you're getting 5% return on investment, and as electric prices go up, that might, over a 20-year period, could be around about a 7% return on investment. So it's worth doing, because now interest rates are, what are they, point
yeah,
5?
and if that money is going to be sat in an ISA, or some of that money is going to be sat in an ISA, it's doing nothing basically. Yeah.
So I think once you can get that across, battery storage combined with solar in combination with a re-roof, it just makes, especially the 15% VAT saving as well, it's just a no-brainer for me. And that's where I find one of our main, what's what I'm looking for, main growth areas is going to be over the coming 5 years. That's why I've called the business green and heritage roofing, because it says what it does on the tin.
Yeah, no, it's a smart name that people are thinking about, as well as obviously, the building. People are thinking about their heritage, their legacy going into the future. So, it makes a lot of sense. And so, if someone came to you in your like, for example, through your mentoring business, and they have a solar business, and they're maybe they're trying to obviously attract more customers in. What have you found to be the most effective ways to do that, or what would you recommend?
Okay, well, if I'm going through mentoring, I use, it's a simple system. I call it GROW. So first of all, we look at their goals. So that's a G. Then we look at the R, which is their current reality. Where are they today? And then depending on where they are, the O would stand for opportunities. The opportunities in their current area could be different to what's in my area. So I'll have to look at their demographic, where they're located, what are the key triggers in their area, their local demographic. So that's the opportunities. And then we'd work out a way forward. So we'll combine the goals with the current reality, with the opportunities, and plan out and map a way forward for them for the next, 1, 2, 3 years. Because I think beyond that, it's too far, because things move so quick. Technology moves so quick. If you start doing a 5-year business plan, it can be out of date in 2 years. So what's the point in looking that far ahead? that might seem negative, but I like to keep it real and keep it current. It's pointless spending hours and hours and hours on something in 5 years' time, when the 5 years' time it's changed. So let's spend a lot of time on the here and now, the 12 months, 24 months.
Yeah, no, that's a very comprehensive answer. I think that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So the other thing, so like thinking about it from the consumer side, so like I get people writing to me or commenting on videos and stuff, and something that's come up a few times is someone's interested in getting solar, but they're not quite ready to just jump and buy it. They need a little bit more understanding and education and stuff. But what tends to happen sometimes is that they'll go and, fill out a form online, and then they'll suddenly get bombarded by like double glazing salesman type of people. And it's like, I understand it's a difficult one as a business owner, right? Because you've got to, help people along in that process, and it's a competitive world, but also people don't like that pushy kind of selling. So how do you strike a balance between that, or does it not have to be like that at all?
Okay, well, from my perspective, I've never done that side of it. You're talking about the called quote machines. I call them quote machines. Yeah, they pay the AdWords on Google. So when people put solar panels in, they're like, free solar panel quotes or get your free solar. I don't know. They use all kinds of trigger words. Yeah, and you're right. They put the name, address, email in, and before they know it, that's been sold for 60 quid a hit or 80 quid a hit to 5 different solar companies, and then they're all scrabbling over. And that consumer's bombarded with salesmen, for want of a better word, and they can be very typically double glazing salesmen. But so I would say that is complete. I don't like that. That is not my approach. It's not the right way to do it. I go from a knowledge point, because if you understand about battery storage, you understand how it interfaces with the AC coupled or the DC coupled. You can sit down or do a Zoom call like this with a consumer, and you don't really have to push anything sales-wise. You listen to your consumer, you write down what they're asking, and you give them genuine answers. And if you don't know the answers, you tell them that you don't know. And what I've found is, with most people who genuinely want a proper company, who care, they turn off to the pushy salesman side of it. And I always say to people at the beginning of my conversations, I'm not a salesman. I'm a genuine, knowledgeable roofing contractor that's been doing solar for the last 15 years. So you ask me what you want, and if I can't answer it, I'll find out the answer.
And obviously, if anyone's watching this and they're in the area that you cover, obviously we know who to talk to. But if someone's somewhere else, like how should they go about finding someone like yourself who is not gonna just try and push them into something? It like is going to help educate them and make an informed decision. Like how do they go about finding someone like that?
Well, I would say ask them for the credentials. I mean, first and foremost, if it's going to be on your roof, which a lot of solar are, if it's on your roof, ask them for the roofing credentials. So I'll give you one. It's called BS 5534. So anybody watching this, just go online and put in BS, which stands for British Standard 5534. That's a roofing accreditation. So ask them what they know about BS 5534. If they look at you dumb, then they probably don't know anything, and therefore they won't know how to deal with the roof. The other one is ask them about G59 and the G38 regulations for solar. Again, if they understand it, I mean, you yourself as a domestic homeowner can look up G38, you can look up G59. And if they look at you again, blank, then they clearly don't know. So those are, or the other one is a CSCS card. So you could ask them, show me your CSCS card or your MBQ qualification in roofing. If they can't do that, then they won't have anybody who's going to be to a level that can install a solar on your roof that has the right level of competence and knowledge. And one thing you need to remember is if they don't know what BS 5534 is, if they don't understand the G59 regulations, and they don't have an MBQ, what's going to happen is that 10-year guarantee you get, which is insurance backed, will be invalidated anyway. Because if you use an incompetent company, the 10-year guarantee won't stack up.
So basically just check that they have the right credentials and they should be knowledgeable enough to answer your questions.
Ask for at least 5 references. I know it might seem a lot. Do you know what? Anybody can get one. They might fraudulently tell a family member to do it. So you need to get 5 genuine recommendations or referrals from previous customers. And I would say photographs as well. And check that they're genuine photographs. They're not library images they bought online. You can normally tell because if you've got the banner in the background or the van in the background, you can tell. So I'd ask for photographs and images and names of addresses, people who would recommend them.
So yeah, no, I think that's all really helpful advice. So if anyone's watching this and they want to learn more about what you do, or potentially interested in, if they do have one of these types of businesses interested in mentoring or anything like that, what's the best way to learn more about you or get in contact?
All right, well, I'll just give you 2 email addresses. The Green and Heritage Roofing is simply chris@greenandheritage.uk. So that'll be for the solar heritage roofing side of it. If it's the mentoring, then it's letstalk@chrishopkins.uk.
Cool. So yeah, no, it's been really good talking. Thank you so much again for doing this. And
well, anybody wants to call me, I don't mind calls as long as it's not middle of the night. I'm normally up at 7 a.m. and I'm normally go to bed at 9. So as long as it's between 7 and 9, I'll chat to most people that give me a call or drop me an email.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for that, Duncan. Yeah,
All right.
It's been good. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.